A warm hello to our listeners. I'm Andre Alger, CMPP Southeast Chapter Program Manager and one of the national spokes under US PAC for CMPP. I'm thrilled to be your host for the second time in another exciting episode of Navigating Business, a business podcast hosted by US Pan Asian American Chamber of Commerce through the Community Navigator Pilot Program, CMPP, of the Small Business Administration, or the SBA. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by all of you as we talk about Navigating Business, a podcast where we hear from Asian American and minority business owners who share their experiences, their backgrounds, their struggles, and their stories of success. Let's get started. We will be embarking on this wonderful expedition of knowledge with our guest from Asian Chamber of Commerce, Nikki Hewen. Nikki, let me take a moment to express my gratitude for you joining us today. I know you have a very busy schedule, and we just appreciate your time and sharing of your knowledge. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Nikki, before we delve into the work that you do, it's become a bit of a tradition here on our podcast to ask our guests to hear a bit of their backstory. So if you don't mind first indulging us with a little of your background, your story. Are you part of the first generation after your family came to the U.S.? How did your experiences lead you to some of the work that you do with ACC, or anything else from your background that you want to share with us?
Yes, Andrea. So I am a first generation Asian American. My family and I came over here from Vietnam, and we faced a few obstacles coming over here. My parents didn't have the language barrier. They didn't have the resources nor the knowledge when it comes to getting any type of assistance like what CMPP is offering right now to the community. And so years went by, and I became a lender and got into my role. That's when I started to notice that I can make a big impact and contribute to my community, doing what I do. And so, here I am today.
Nikki, that's great. And I can hear just the passion from your past experiences and bringing you into that space of lending and now working with the SBA loans and minority businesses as we're trying to connect those resources, whether it's through your role now as a Community Navigator Pilot Program manager, like myself, doing similar work, but different resources that we're trying to connect. So thanks for sharing a little bit about your background. I'm sure both Asian Chamber of Commerce, both they represent and support several businesses and many businesses in that area. But I'm curious, what are the services and strengths that ACC, especially in relationship to the CMPP, what is the relationship between those resources, and how can you share more about that with our listeners today?
Yes, absolutely. So, the Asian chambers, they're a big contributor, in terms of, community outreach. They support, the local small business by providing resources, training, mentorships, grants. And so, in a way, I feel like, with these type of services, they truly aligned with the CNPP program.
Very true. I see that as well. You're out on the West Coast. I'm more on the Southeast side. And regardless of where we are, as we try to guide and connect these resources to our clients and our small minority businesses, we always elevate those resources and share that common goal together. So,
correct. Yes.
Moving on. So why do some entrepreneurs choose the SBA loan over a traditional bank loan? And how do SBA loans differ from the standard bank loans? And I can repeat some of this later, but it's kind of a twofold question. Are there any advantages? So having connecting these resources to our clients, how can you explain those questions? I have many clients that often ask me, well, what is the difference between the traditional and the SBA? And I can give them the book answer, but you as the loan officer with all of this experience, can you share that information with us?
Yes, absolutely. So, SBA loans are designed to assist small business that might not meet the strict criteria of your traditional conventional loan. Um, And the benefit of the SBA loan is that it's SBA guarantees a portion of that loan to reduce the lenders from any the risk, right? Therefore, it targets entrepreneurs, such as your startup, business, right? Expansions and so forth. And I could say, one of, a few of the advantages would be, getting lower interest rate, longer terms, um, lower down payment, um, just flexible uses of funds, such as a combination of, we could say, equipment loan, capital, working capital, to a business acquisition, purchase of a real estate and so forth. So, I mean, I would say that, the majority of entrepreneurs, they would consider, if they qualify, first of all, but an SBA loan over the conventional, just because of, those, advantages right there.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense, especially for that startup business that they're
Yeah,
just not sure how it's going to move forward. You need those
exactly.
senses of security
Yeah.
and the access to capital, 100%.
Hmm.
The standard loan application process is getting more and more detailed every year. I feel like the list goes on for qualifications. And I see how it's becoming very intimidating for our clients and these we would say inexperienced. They're entrepreneurs, they're small business owners or trying to be. So it's intimidating. On the thought of dealing with all of the requirements to do a standard loan application, is the process with the SBA loan any different for these clients going out to do the SBA over the standard traditional?
So Andrea, I would say that, like any lender out there, we all have to do our due diligence, right? The standards, would be, some would say it's a little bit too lengthy. And then others could, I mean, say, hey, that was the quickest thing ever, right? But I would say that, the process overall, it's the same, as any other loans out there. First, I mean, it's all about eligibility, right? As the lender, they want to make sure that, is this project or is this bar, eligible for, whatever it is that they're needing financing on. So, once, the lender determined that, then they go into, documentations preparing, where they collect, financials, business plans, personal tax return, business tax return, if any. And then we evaluate that to make sure that, what, this is someone that can support the loan, or, I mean, this would be a good project to do. So, once that has been submitted, then, the lenders would send out, the SBA, application. And then they go into full underwriting, where, the lenders and the underwriters review to make sure that, this is going to be the right term for this project, for this borrower. And then are there any, I mean, shortfalls in terms of, repayment ability, right? And then once that process has been in place, that's when the lenders would send out, we call it an LOI, or a commitment letter, to, state to the borrowers that, hey, this is something that we're interested in. And then right after that, I mean, if, both sides, from the borrower to the lender agrees on the terms, that's when we go straight to closing. So not
Great.
too bad.
Yeah, thank you for that. And you made it sound very, the process flows. So I could follow along visually in my head with the process. So I'm sure our listeners are following along as well and visualizing this process. And of course, we are here as a resource. We'll get to that later for questions on that process, with your contact information.
Yes.
But I'm pretty sure with all of this advice for small business owners, you would have some very memorable stories working within the ACC. Can you share a story or two that stands out, perhaps a story, a success story of a client that was able to get an SBA loan? And what was the experience like?
Yes. So we had a local, sushi restaurant, pretty known here in Houston, Texas area. And when they came to us for a loan to expand on their second location, CMPP was, I mean, after the review of the whole entire loan package, that's when we realized that, their financials was not in place. And so, we asked them, well, who's been doing your accounting? I mean, who's been filing your taxes and whatnot? That's when they told us, well, I mean, my other partner does it. I don't know nothing about this, but then, my lady, my accountant files for the taxes, and that's all I know. So, after having, multiple, visits with them, we encourage them that, what, I mean, if you want to get the second location, I feel like it's best that, you reevaluate your financials, to see where your business stands, right? And obviously to help them out with their loan. So what we did was, we referred them to a few accounting firms in the Houston area. And right after that, they were able to, work with one of the accounting partners that we recommended. Um, After that, they came back to us with, solid financials. Everything made sense. And, we were able to process their loan and get them funded for their second location.
Oh, that's great. I do
Yeah,
know the experience of working with clients, and it's such a rewarding feeling being able to
it is.
meet these small business owners and to see them through the process. So that's encouragement for all of us out here, just to follow the process and work with amazing people like yourself and to get through that loan process together. So thank you for your support in our small business
Yes.
community.
Yes.
I want to take a moment and just ask you if you can share any educational moments, such as what would be the biggest tip you can give owners in finding the right loan for their business?
So I think, a lot of bars, would think that, I might fit into this type of loan product or that type of loan product. But I can say that, towards the end of the day, it's up to the lenders to work closely with the business owners, and to evaluate, hey, what loan program might be a good fit for them, right? Um, so, my tips would be, just understanding your business ins and out. Who is managing your day-to-day operation, right? Pretty much, when you're not there, who's going to be, taking over the business or helping out, and overseeing the business. And then understanding the business financials, because that's truly important, not just from a loan perspective, but more of, just looking at your books, on a monthly basis or, biweekly, whatever the case is. That way, you know where your expenses is going, where your income is generated from. And that helps out a lot, and then lastly, I would say, always, develop a business plan. Even if, you're a successful business already, never stop, growing your business. And when you see everything, on paper, of your business plan of where you want to take your business within the next, 3 years, 5 years, I mean, you're going to look back and say, wow, I mean, I created that, right? And, I mean, just never stop dreaming, so.
Nikki, that's great advice, whether financially or just in your personal life, your work-life balance. Always checking back on that plan, business plan or otherwise, and following your dreams. So thank you so much for those encouraging words for our small business owners.
Yes.
I can't believe it, but it looks like our time is coming to an end for another podcast. But if there's one more thing that I could ask you, you've shared so much with us today, and I would like our business owners to be able to get in touch with you and contact. Is there the best way to reach you?
Yes, you can always email us at cnpp at asianchambers-hou.org. Or you guys can always give me a call at 713-782-7222, extension 110.
Thank you so much for that. Nikki, thank you for this wonderful
Thank
conversation. It's been
you.
a great opportunity to listen to a seasoned expert such as yourself and learn how to navigate around these lengthy business requirements, especially for communities that lack access to support that they need. Thank you to our audience, too, for tuning in. We hope you can join us again next time at Navigating Business, a podcast brought to you by U.S. Pan-Asian Chamber of Commerce through the Community Navigator Pilot Program and the Small Business Administration. Nikki, again, thank you so much for being here with us today. I know our listeners are thanking you as well. Thank you to our audience. And please let us know, reach out to USPAC, reach out to Nikki, reach out to any of us, and we will make sure that you are connected to the CMPP program manager that can guide you on your entrepreneurial and small business success. Thank you again, Nikki.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.